Mr. Commodores, Patricio Patelli, Amaka Piccinini, team members of Luna Rossa, our friend Max. Welcome, you've come a long way for today, but what an amazing day for all of us. I just bring first of all apologies from our team principal, Matteo Denora, and from our chairman, Sir Stephen Tyndall. The protocol that we're announcing today is a negotiated document between two teams and respects the doctrine of mutual consent laid out by the deed of gift. It's a collective attempt to create a competitive environment, but not a biased one. To create an Emirates Cup where challengers feel they will be treated totally fairly and the rules will be transparent to the public. It's further evidence of the relationship between Emirates Team New Zealand and Luna Rossa that started in the 90s. And this protocol has its genesis in the 2003 document that was written by Team New Zealand then, as it was then, and Luna Rossa. It separates the challengers and the defender. That's an important principle of the way this is laid out. Because after all, it is the challenger's job to gang together to try and beat the defender. And only if the defender is good enough should it be able to prevail. Our two teams and their respective yacht clubs are proud of the document, one that we believe values and represents the deed of gift, but also, and the traditions of the deed of gift, but also allows for innovation and bringing the teams, the most competitive people together in a friendly competition between nations. I thought I'd just highlight some of the key parts of the protocol. And as we go on, there'll be Q&A and we'll get into a little bit into the nitty-gritty. But just to highlight a few things that obviously people will be discussing straight away. First of all, the boat. As has been well reported, it's a monohull. Its length overall is 75 feet. And the drawings of that boat and the concept will be released on November the 30th. And the design rule will be released by the 31st of March. Now, why those dates are important is because you can launch your first boat early into the new year, April 2019. So it gives a lead time for design and a building time of probably 8 months for a boat like that. And in the protocol announced today, you will see the start of a doctrine of cost containment, a country of origin. There's been a lot of commentary on this already, but it just represents a fundamental principle of the deed of gift, and has been changed obviously over the years and will continue to be changed a little bit, but we still need to represent that fundamental principle of the deed of gift. Nationality, another one that plenty of people have talked about, but really it's not quite like most people that I've listened to or read about think. I'll just give you the rule first, and then I'll give you the thinking behind the rule. So the nationality, or the citizenship, is defined often slightly different by different countries, but its intent is 20% of sailors in competing teams. Passports, but also citizens. Then the rest of the sailing team must meet a strict criteria of residency. And that residency is defined as 380 days resident in the country between the period of the 1st of September 2018 and the 1st of September 2020. And there will be the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron and the Challenger of Record, which will check that to make sure it's met, because of obviously the ability to cross borders in Europe. But if you look at the history, certainly in my time, I think probably the most significant Emirates Cup was when Australia 2 beat Liberty in Newport, Rhode Island. And it was Australia versus New Zealand. And all major sporting codes are country versus country, the All Blacks. It's an obvious one for us, the Olympics. And I think that countries need to be encouraged to grow their own talent. And we've seen this, a really good example of this recently, because we've been involved a little bit with these guys, of Team Tilt, and the way they've brought on the talent in Switzerland. It's not an attempt to stop yachtsmen earning a living, but it is an attempt to make a country firstly look at its own before it looks offshore. And it's an attempt to mean that yachtsmen have to make decisions about where they want to live. The event, the intention is to hold the Cup in Auckland in 2021. I mean, of course, the whole purpose of trying to win it is to bring it back to Auckland. But at this stage, no infrastructure exists for that to happen. We've just come out of an election. There's planning going on by the council, AT and the government. But at this stage, nothing firm exists. And infrastructure needs to start by the middle of next year. Proper infrastructure, hard infrastructure, because by summer 2019 there will be boats and there will be teams, and right now we don't know where to put them. At this stage we have not contemplated or even started on a host city agreement, and now that the protocol's released, because as Pete said, I mean 3 months ago we were still in Bermuda and just winning the Cup, and now we're announcing the protocol. So now that will start in earnest to get that host city agreement approved or started, written and approved, and then infrastructure discussions to go on. There will be 3 regattas in 2019 and 2020 in the race boats. You're allowed to build 2 boats. And in keeping with the protocols of 2000 and 2003, the Challenger Series will be organised by the Challenger of record. The America's Cup, the event, will be organised by the Defender. And then there is a joint group between us to look at things like broadcasting, sponsorship, and other mutually umpires, chase boats, all those mutually beneficial things by joining forces. But as a fundamental principle, the challengers are the challenger, the defender is the defender. And that's how it always should have been. Now, Pete, I think that we'll move on from that.
Yes,
and we're going to come back and revisit this in a lot more detail, but I just wanted to sort of hit the burning, probably the first of the burning questions straight up front, so that you understood.